Greetings, programs. Welcome to a siege battle. Sorry it's been so long, but I have had a lot to do on my plate. I work. I want to go ahead and pause this real fast. I work in a very line of work that takes up a lot of my time. I don't want to quite say exactly what it is, but it takes up a bunch of my time, unfortunately. And so this is the first video I've actually been able to sit down and try to put together. And thankfully, it's not one that I had to do myself. I want to give a shout out to DJ underscore 142. He has sent in numerous videos, and I've always done my best to get them covered as quickly as I can. I want to apologize. This one's taken me a little bit longer. This is actually the first time I've sat down and looked at it. And I actually just got off work an hour or so ago, so I'm a bit tired. But we're going to do with what we can with what we got. It's a 2v2, Saba and Nabatea versus Carthage and Egypt. I'm assuming something big is going to happen because I read the title, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. I read the title of the replay, but I'm not going to tell you because that way it'll be a surprise. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into the action here and bring up our little mini-map so we can see things. And we're going to take a look at the army comps. I'm assuming DJ is a defender, but I'm not sure exactly which one. Saba has some Sabian camel cataphracts, desert levy, and a couple of armored camel spearmen, and another camel cataphract over here near the gate on the far left. Mercenary Masgat marauders with some noble swordsmen, kind of a reserve left flank. His front line consists of the mercenary Masgat warrior, some more mercenary Masgat warriors with some Swabian swordsmen, with his slingers making up for ranged defenses. And then, of course, they have the Eastern Baston Ballista. And that kind of consists of the Sabbatean army. I'm not sure where his general... Oh, his general is right here, actually. The noble swordsmen supporting those guys, backing them up. Those are his... that is his general. Now, Nabatea, as we kind of saw, has his general back here, which is a noble cav. Thorax pikes there in the back, with Nabatean heavy archers, 3 armored desert hoplites in the mid-center, noble cav and desert heavy lancers on the far right gate, with Nabatean swordsmen there. His center and front line then consists of the Nabatean axe warriors, as Nabatean swordsmen here, as well as some more axe warriors and another Nabatean heavy archer. So 4 heavy archers. I only saw Saba had only... Okay, I overlooked these 2 here, my bad. With 2 Sabaean archers. I only saw the slingers and I completely spaced on them. The artillery, not really doing much in the way of kills as of yet. Mostly they're probably just forcing the hold and trying to deal some damage. Anyway, Egypt's closer to the wall, so we'll go ahead and look up their stuff. Galatian swordsmen and Egyptian infantry leading the charge on the tortoises, with 3 more Galatian swordsmen on the towers behind them. Their archers consist of mercenary Cretans, as you'll expect, 3 of those, and then a Nubian bowman. Looks like the artillery are actually fighting duels. With the Carthaginian artillery now annihilated, Egypt did not bring any artillery whatsoever. He has some light cavalry with a Royal Thorax swordsman for his general, and then lots of Thorax swordsmen here in his staggered center line. And then a Levy throw spear, and then with another Levy throw there, with his Nubian bowman and the mercenary Cretans there. Now, as they start knocking on the walls, about to try and breach this sector here, the Saba artillery is actually now going with a single kill, going after the mercenary Cretan archers of Carthage. 3 mercenary Cretan archers, and that is it for his ranged that I can see. If you see something else, point it out to me in the comments. General's bodyguard. His far right is now 3 Libyan infantry. His center right, mercenary Italian swords, with Libyan infantry making up the main center. All the way across, with some mercenary Gallic warriors on the far left getting off that tortoise. And then we have mercenary Gallic warriors and mercenary Italian swords bringing up the center with their tortoises. So it looks like they're going to concentrate their attack right here in this center. Not all in all a bad idea. I mean, this city is a pain to attack anyway. I have defended it, and I know how easy it is to defend, especially if you can set up a choke point here in the final keep and keep guys. These walls I do not think are deployable. Actually, they might be, because there is an arrow tower with a gatehouse, it would appear, but only right here. You can't get up on this actual wall segment. As far as I am aware, you cannot actually get up on that wall segment. Yeah, this wall segment's just for looks. I mean, in theory, you could attack this rear sector, which can have people on walls, and you can attack the main keep that way. Attack the main keep directly on either of these corners. But as far as these walls right here, they're just decorative and cannot be used for defense. So anyway, so we have the Saba already sallying out with their camels and their guys, and Nabatea sallying out over here. The Egyptian infantry has gotten up on the wall and challenging that ballista unit, while the Galatian swordsmen broke the Nabatean swordsmen, suffering heavy casualties. I'm assuming they were supported by archer fire, and that can be confirmed with one archer unit having 29 kills. And I think only one archer was contesting them. The Nabatean swordsmen and axe warriors are now holding the point, holding this choke point. They're going to try and cap the arrow tower with the Egyptian infantry up here. We must have missed a cavalry fight because the Desert Heavy Lancers, I think they mopped up the Egyptian light cav. Whether the Egyptian player is aware of this threat on his left flank, I can't tell you. But those are some heavy hitting cav, and he doesn't have a whole lot of spears. He only has one levy throw, so he have to rely on his javelins scoring home from his thorax swords. And he really can't advance or commit too much without exposing either his general or his archers. And I'm noticing neither offensive sides brought pikes. The defender only brought one, and only one defender brought a single pike unit. The wisdom of that is yet to be seen. But this wall right here is about to come down and open up another breach point here in a minute. Boom, and final hit. Will it actually come down or will it glitch? It comes down. So now we have a giant hole here that they can try and contest through. Neither section of wall here has been hit. I think the tortoise may have glitched out and... Oh, no, it's moving up. It's moving up. This one may have glitched out, so it probably won't be hitting. But they're about to hammer this point here. Only two, and soon to be technically a third breach point for an offensive is... I don't want to call this attack doomed from the start, but it is not looking good. Nabatean heavy archers getting flanking fire on Egyptian, Galatian swords and Libyan infantry, who are taking on Nabatean swordsmen, and winning combined. But they're taking a lot of peel and fire from the Nabatean axe warriors and archer fire. Libyan infantry down 25. I'm sorry, down 30 something guys with only 30 kills. They're 1 for 1. While the Libyan infantry are almost in a similar situation, 1 for 1. Mercenary Cretan archers trying to light up Nabatean axe warriors, maybe actually going for they're actually going for the bowmen, scoring some hits and chasing them out. Scoring hits and chasing them off. Nabatean swordsmen just leveled up, but they're near breaking. They're probably going to fight to the last against the Galatians, but they will not have the morale to hold. Over on this breach point, Carthage is going in full steam ahead against the mercenary Masgat warriors and Sabaean swordsmen. But the mercenary Italian swords might not be able to cut it. Libyan infantry, I don't think can cut it either. But Saba has half of their army. They only have enough troops here to hold. If their forces here break, then Carthage will be able to just roll in and flank Nabatea, or go straight for the VP at the main center. Saba doesn't have enough guys here to hold, so they're really relying on this Saliat of theirs to they're really just relying on the Saliat to either keep Carthaginian forces in check, like they are here. You can see how they've kind of boxed up, letting some of their Libyan infantry and the mercenary warriors here, Gallic warriors and Italian swords, they've boxed up to face them, preventing them from just waltzing on over. Egypt is kind of doing the same, with thorax swordsmen trying to chase down now some desert heavy lancers. That's going to be a losing fight. Sorry, I just got the hiccups all of a sudden. And with the Nabatean noble cav, I don't think, they're not going to pursue. They're just going to fall back and try and stay as close together as they can. Really, when facing a sally out like this, all you can really do is just come together and hope for the best. All you can really do is just come together and hope for the best. Nabatean axe warriors slipping behind the line, getting through before the Galatian swordsmen can come down off the wall or get in, and now have a flank, but of course will be themselves flanked by another Galatian swordman unit before they can do anything. Nabatean axe warriors combat even, fighting Galatian swords who are losing slightly, and the Libyan infantry are also losing slightly. Unfortunately, these Nabatean Axe behind the lines, fighting isolated and alone, break pretty quickly after being charged by the attack to the rear by Galatian Swordsmen. Mercenary Cretan archers are now moving back into position, probably to light up either more archer units or try and deal some damage to the units in reserve. Nabatea has a single unit way out there he may have forgotten about, but the bulk of his forces are just right here. I'm seeing the defenders did not bring a whole lot of units. Unfortunately, the Sabaean archers don't have the will or the capacity to stand up to the mercenary Cretans, they dealt some damage to them in the firefight, in the shootout, but they would have ended up losing it, because mercenary Cretans are just all around better against them. Nabatea having to shift troops around to help support. Saba about to lose this flank here, or about to lose this choke point. Carthage just shifting around, and the Sabaean push on the exterior is now in full motion. Slingers engaging at practically point-blank range, firing into flank with the mercenary Italians, with Desert Levy and mercenary Mascot warriors attacking head-on with Libyan infantry, and then mercenary Italian with the more mercenary Gullet trying to support. Libyan infantry shifting around to protect their general, protect their archers from the rear, protect them from the armored Desert Cav and the Sabaean Camel Cataphracts, which will now do their opening charge. Gets into an angle, and then they will get attempted to be countercharged and peelumed, but no effect on the Cataphracts. They take minor casualties. When Libyan infantry will sit there and take it, and then the 3rd Camel unit will get into the flank. With them now occupied, their slingers are now going to fire straight over and deal some damage. Carthaginian general trying to get in there, but only unit to take casualties, or the only unit to take actual heavy casualties is the Camel Cataphracts, losing almost 20 men in the charge. Armored Camel Spearmen losing 3 or 4, but the Desert Levy has broken from the field, but the mercenary Italian swordsman is soon to break as well.
As you said, riders at the double.
Very heavy melee cav, and the shot cav is losing and prolonged. I'm surprised the Nabatean Axe Warriors are getting shredded. The archers must be supporting that, because they should last longer against the Libyan infantry than they are. Now being flanked and attacked in the rear, they might not last very long. Mercenary Mascot Marauders are coming to assist. 7 archers are now in melee. I'm assuming they're out of ammo with only 2 kills. That seems unlikely. I'm assuming probably misclick was put in there somehow. Desert Levy returns from routing, while Libyan infantry with Pelham are pursuing the armored spear cavalry and the Camel Cataphracts. Libyan infantry still trying to hold the mercenary Gallic warriors, still trying to hold their front line against the mercenary Mouse Gat warriors, and maybe trying to get into the slingers. That might be their only hope here. Then out of left field, noble Nabatean Cav manages to dodge a volley with minimal casualties, trying to get into Egyptian archers, but they're not going to have it. Volley from the Libyan infantry forces them to change their directions, and the Levy throw spears prevent them from getting a charge off, protecting the archers. Sabat archers now up on the wall. That may have been what was happening. They're trying to run through here to get up on the wall. Very dangerous position if their infantry can't keep these Libyans tied down. Actually, with Libyan infantry there, mercenary Gallic warriors kind of chasing them, this Libyan infantry, if they can get in and slip in through here, they can make short work of these. Well, they've already got mercenary Gallic warriors up here. All they have to do is if they could just chase and pursue, they can make short work of their archers, but I think they're going to get away and protected by the Mascat Marauders here. The Sabaean general is now entering the fray. Noble swordsmen, they're taking fire from archers. They're probably going to bug out real quick. Thorax swordsmen now engaging one-on-one against the Nabatean Axe warriors. They are actually losing. Both sides, arrow fire flying left and right. Nabatean heavy archers trying to support their Axe warriors successfully, but they're getting chewed up in the process, taking fire from 2 to 3 enemy ranged units, taking heavy casualties before bugging out. Because that change right there, the combat is now even, only a 5-man difference between the Axe Warriors and the Thorax Swords, with a fresh unit of Thorax Swords coming to assist, but they may have to end up dealing with the Desert Hoplites. Nabatean Lancers still roaming the hills out behind them, and it looks like the Nabatean Noble Cav has gotten into the Carthaginian general. That may be it. Carthage has collapsed. Broken casualties sustained. Somehow something got into them. Maybe they're out of ammo. but I'm assuming that the death of the Carthaginian general. Yes, the Carthaginian general is dead. But their forces are collapsing. So now it's basically a 2-on-1 with a fairly fresh army still. But they do have very limited... Their infantry is very limited. Their infantry is limited. Their infantry is also exhausted slightly from fighting prolonged line battles. But the cav, the Saban and Nabatean cav is what is killing them all. Is what is killing everyone. Carthaginian archers with their swords out. One unit with swords, one unit with bows. We're going to head-on charge Desert and Heavy Lancers. And take it head-on. And the Lancers, they don't do much damage, but the morale damage is enough to... with their general broken, is enough to get them off the field. They're not dealing... They're not killing anyone, period. Libyan infantry just getting shredded and flanked. They're about... Carthage is just about to straight up chain rally. The Libyan infantry still engaged in combat with a medium morale, and the 3 on the outside breaking. Libyan infantry losing decisively. Archers losing decisively. They again inflict no casualties. 1 archer broke. This is not a good position for Egypt. They're not inside the walls. They've been held at their choke point. This is not a very good position for them. They managed to break a Nabatean heavy archer unit that got 123 kills. They're probably near run out of ammo anyway. Nabatea is running out of infantry. Nabatea is running out of infantry. They have only, including their general, actually no, they have 2 infantry reserves left, 2 range units left, and their general. Their front line is being battered and bruised, and could possibly be breaking, but their armored desert hoplites are what's holding the line long enough for Saba to have wiped out Carthage and is not bringing up their depleted army. I say depleted, but they probably still have a good, at least 50% of their army left. And they still have at least 50% of their army left. Egypt is trying very hard to get their Nubian bowmen up onto the wall so they can gain that height advantage and probably just try to shred either the armored desert hoplites or get the angle they need to take out or to force off the Nubian heavy archers. Which looks like that's what they're trying to do, but I think the heavy archers still have ammo, but now with the height advantage, but they don't have the protection of the parapets. And with the Nubian bowmen being so lightly armored, are probably just going to get shredded. The Nubian heavy archers are firing at the disadvantage. The height, they give the height advantage. The Nubian bowmen get the height advantage of the armored AP from the height advantage, but they're just not armored enough, and they're being lit up quite adequately, and they break after only getting off a couple of volleys. While the mercenary Cretans have been able to lay into them and have actually dealt some damage. Mercenary Cretans have been able to lay into them, deal some damage, but the box slowly closes on Egypt. As the last mercenary Cretan archer moves up from the reserve to firing position, it won't be enough. The Nabatean infantry can hold for too long, especially these armored desert hoplites, and now they're sending the Thorax pikes in. This is just going to be... It's not going to be pretty. They're avoiding the pike stack, which is good. They have the armored desert hoplites on the right, pikes moving in from the front, forcing them to have to readjust and reposition so their archers can open up. Saba taking their sweet time setting up. Which, here's the thing. Your slingers, if they have ammo, can still light things up from their angle, from their position. They can lay into these spears, Levy-Thuro spears. They can lay into the Levy-Thuros and just light them up. Or you can have them adjust and lay into the Thorax swordsmen. And then you have the infantry charge, a depleted unit of infantry, like, for example, this mercenary Mass Gap Marauder. Only 36 guys. Charge the Thuro spears. Charge the Thuro spears. Absorb a volley or 2, get him into melee, and then bring a healthier unit up behind him. And bring a healthier unit up behind them and engage the melee so they can't get any more volleys off. And at least start applying some kind of pressure here. It's almost certain Egypt will lose because the Nabatean general is still alive. The Saban general, albeit slightly depleted, is still alive. But Saba is now going to take a morale penalty for being outside the fortress. See, he's starting to do that, but instead of leading with a weakened unit to absorb the Pelum, he's leading with a healthier unit, which is something I would not have done. And something I've seen other experienced players not do. Nabatean Swordsmen, they took the long way, they just got there. Nabatean Noble Cav, the Nabatean General's now out in the field. Let's see. Are they going to get the Pelum off? No, they will not. The Levy throw spear. Egypt must not be paying attention. He was not able to get any kind of Pelum throw off at all. I think their fire at will was disabled, and he forgot to re-enable it for the defensive position there. Galatian swords charging the Nabatean swordsmen break almost instantly. Some Pelum fire to kind of support them, wiping out a few, but then cavalry will come in and wipe them. But then the cavalry will get cleaned up with a Pelum throw on the flank, and then we'll try to countercharge, or try to Pelum throw Nabatean Cap charging them. And this is the beginning of the end for Egypt. Their front line, weak, breaking, collapsing, made up mostly of archers. Pelum starting to be chucked everywhere, trying to cause what damage they can. Egyptian Royal Thorax, their general moving in, exposing this position here for the cavalry to slip through. Cavalry slip through the gap there, charge them in the back. So now Thorax Swords attacked in the rear, unit winning because it wasn't really good charge by the heavy shock. And fighting the very heavy melee, they'll get cleaned pretty quick, so they're going to bug out after taking 4 or 5 casualties. Losing 4 or 5. Thorax Swordsman fighting, losing slightly, combat even, winning slightly to the Nabatean Swordsman, even though they have the numeric. But the Egyptian center's lost. The cavalry are just now running amok. Cavalry are running amok. Thorax swords and throw spears, surrounded and flanked. The Egyptian general flanked by Cav, doing what they can, protected on their left by Thorax swords, being shot in the rear by slingers. This is a done deal. You could have called this one at 5 minutes. I was kind of suspicious when it said like it was only a 28-minute video, a 28-minute replay. I knew it was going to be decisive, but I mean, they put up a good fight. Their only mistake was they attacked too locally. I think if they'd spread out a little bit, I mean, 2v2, you kind of have to attack together, but then I would have localized my attack to this corner, or to this flank. Like these 3 segments of wall right here. This long wall, that wall in the corner. I'd have focused my attack right here. That way you're both here together, both your armies are intermixed, and sure, it'll kind of give the defenders a little bit of leeway, but if you're able to break through, say, here, you'll be able to get up, and then you can start either assaulting or even take the final keep there, the last stand keep, pretty quickly. The Egyptian general, not dead yet, but his army chain routes, him being the last unit of any kind of morale, and the break. Alright, so Saba, led by DJ437. I said his name incorrectly in the beginning. I know. I'm sorry. Don't crucify me. DJ_437 deployed just under 2,500 men. Lost about just under 1,500. So he had about 1,000 men still left in the fighting action with 2,500 kills. So he killed 1 for 1 for his entire army, basically. Same thing with Athena, who played as Nabatea. Deployed 2320. Killed 2236. So he killed just about 1 for 1. And he only lost about 1,500. So both of these guys had about half of their army standing still. While the attackers deployed 2960 Cheese Biscorn, playing Egypt, lost 2555 and only got 1431 kills. And then Carthage deployed 2840, lost 2573, and got about 1,500 kills. So, I mean, it was, I wouldn't exactly call it close. It definitely became decisive in the last 8 minutes. At that mark, I could have told you who was going to win. It was pretty safe bet the defenders would have won because of that sally out. But that city is a pain to attack because there's not very many long sections of wall that you can just open up and then flood through. and try to overextend the defenders. There's just nothing there for it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm the Master Control. End of line.